Nobody's coming to America anymore, and we might end up losing the World Cup and the Olympics. Right? Tourism fell by 12% last month. That's the most since COVID. But then more specifically, tourism from Germany and Denmark falling by over 30%. It's down by over 25% for Spain, Norway, Ireland, and Austria. Australia and France are down by 7%. And then, on top of that, air travel from Canada, it's down over 75% from last year, in addition to a 32% reduction in car travel from Canada. With us even seeing the founder of Kayak having a lot to say about this, saying, quote, "In just 2 months, Trump has destroyed the reputation of the U.S., shown one way by diminished travel from the EU to the U.S. And saying this is not only one more terrible blow to the U.S. economy, it also represents reputation damage that could take generations to repair. Additionally, another booking site found that 40% of Europeans have canceled their trips to America. And, Trump's policy of randomly detaining tourists and sending them to random prisons or deporting them immediately upon arrival, it's bringing a complete halt to tourism, according to travel companies. And this is there are now growing concerns about the U.S.'s ability to host the Ryder Cup in 2025, the World Cup in 2026, and the Olympics in 2028. Right, globally, people are asking a lot of questions. Are players and fans going to be safe? Can the safety of the Iranian or Venezuelan teams be guaranteed? And that, as others are remarking, that no one's going to be able to go given the possibility of being sent to a prison in El Salvador. Now, that said, FIFA has been downplaying the situation, with one official saying, "Time's on our side with that." I understand the policies of the administration, but I'm confident that once we get to the point where we need to get to, 16 months from now, we'll be fine. But for now, follow to stay in the loop.
If you're planning your next holiday, there are a lot of places to choose from, but one that is falling out of fashion is the US. Since Donald Trump took office, America has reported a dramatic drop in the number of international tourists, and it's impacting the country's bottom line.
While MAGA diehards keep chanting, "We don't care," every time someone points out the cost of Donald Trump's policies, international tourists are quietly delivering the one response that matters in Trump's America, which is they're not coming to the United States for vacations. We have new data now from the World Travel and Tourism Council. The U.S. is on track to lose over $12 billion in international travel spending this year. That's a decline of 7%. It's not because suddenly the sand on the beaches is no good. It's not because the theme parks got rid of everybody's favorite ride. It's because the rest of the world sees what the United States under Donald Trump has become: expensive, hostile, and unstable. And they're voting with their passports. Of the 184 countries surveyed, the U.S. is the only one with an absolute decline in international visitor spending. According to the WTC's CEO, quote, "The U.S. has firmly got a 'we're not open for business' sign right now." And that's correct. Germany has updated its travel advisory after several Germans were detained at the U.S. border. Canada, which used to be exempt from most of the short-term visa requirements, now has to register and submit fingerprints for any visit longer than 30 days. That's new under Donald Trump. You've got Canadian Airlines canceling routes due to declining demand. Vehicle traffic at land crossings is down significantly from Canada. So these are not anecdotes. This is an economic warning siren. The largest travel economy in the world is bleeding visitors. And MAGA's response is always, "So what? We don't want sissy Europeans and liberal Canadians coming here." Well, one of the things that you have...
Well, folks, here's the truth. Donald Trump's policies didn't just close our borders. They wrecked our economy. Tourism to the United States is down 61%. That means empty hotels, shuttered restaurants, and millions of jobs lost in cities like Las Vegas, New York, Miami, and right here at home. Why? Because Trump made America unwelcoming. His trade wars, his anti-immigration rhetoric, his fear-based policies drove tourists and businesses away. While Europe and Asia recovered, we fell behind. I'm running for Congress to change that, to open our doors, rebuild our reputation, and bring jobs back to the communities that depend on tourism. We're going to replace fear with opportunity and isolation with leadership. America should be a place the world wants to visit, not avoid. And under Democratic leadership, it will be again. Let's bring the world and their dollars back to America. Let's get to work. My name is Doug Hunan. I'm a Democrat congressional candidate in California's 3rd District. Please share this video, follow me, and donate to my congressional campaign.
They're avoiding Florida like it has emotional herpes. Florida tourism is down, beach businesses are dying, and the people are somehow surprised about it. Come to Florida, where the sun burns your skin and the governor burns your identity. It's so politically toxic that even the alligators are switching parties. DeSantis is out here turning Florida into a family-friendly dictatorship. It's like North Korea with Margaritaville decor. He's out here banning books, attacking drag queens, and starting a fight with Mickey Mouse like he's the final boss of the woke Olympics. The man literally lost a fight with Disney. That's like getting beaten up by a piñata. Tourism in Florida has dropped harder than DeSantis' presidential campaign. You remember that? Blink and you missed it. It was like watching a wet sock run for office. The beach bars are empty. Even the piña coladas are asking, is it because I'm fruity? You know things are bad when even retired boomers are thinking of packing up and moving back to New Jersey.
Nobody wants to come to the U.S. anymore. At the beginning of 2025, tourism was estimated to be up about 6.2% this year. So going into 2025, we're going to see a 6.2% increase in tourism. By August, tourism is down almost 8.2% at a loss of $12.5 billion. Nobody wants to come here to this. Who would want to come to a police state nation where the National Guard and all the police and federal agents and ICE are picking people up in masks and people are being detained and disappearing? You got law enforcement on every corner. Who would want to spend their vacation here and deal with that? Who would want to bring their family to a police military zone? Hell, the citizens in the cities aren't even coming out no more. They're staying in the house because they don't want to be bothered with all the stress and BS coming from all the officers detaining people, pulling people over, stopping people, walking up to people sitting on park benches. What's going on? Who would want to be in this type of environment? Like, everybody around the world hates us right now, and they're looking at us just waiting for us to implode, honestly. Both our neighbors to the north and south, Canada and Mexico, want nothing to do with us, don't want us there, and they don't want to come here. They don't want to do business with us. Nobody is feeling any kind of love for the U.S. right now because of our, I won't say, just DJT. Let alone the fact that nobody wants to do business with us due to the tariffs that you impart. So now that you've put the tariffs on everyone, nobody wants to hire. Nobody has money to make new jobs. Nobody wants to import. Nobody wants to export. Nobody wants to deal with the U.S. We look like a country on the edge. We look like we have no idea what's happening in the world. We have incompetent leadership, turning a blind eye to genocide, turning a blind eye to people suffering, rounding up their own people, citizens, veterans, unfortunate, underprivileged, people that fell victim to this system. And there's no heart, there's no intellect, there's no empathy, nothing being shown to the citizens here from the administration that's in charge. Nobody wants to come here. I wouldn't want to come here.
A lot of travel is down into the United States from around the world. It feels like there's been reputational
The country's
damage.
doing great.
Well,
Prices are down.
not the tourism
Gasoline's down. Energy's down. Tourism is going to be way up. Wait till you see the numbers. The tourism is way up.
Not now.
Now Canada, tourism's doing very well. We're doing very well. We're doing very well. Wait till you see the real numbers come out in 6 months from now. Wait till you see the numbers.
But do you
They're gonna
think,
be
I'm
very
going to ask,
Hey, it's Joe from Georgia. So tourism season is upon us. And I can tell you what the United States is seeing. The United States is seeing a huge dramatic drop in international visitors to the United States. Now, those visitors contribute millions to billions of dollars of tourism dollars all across the United States, and specifically heavily in Florida, because everybody undoubtedly in Europe thinks that Florida is that Disneyland is the greatest place in the world to go. I don't understand that, but Florida's getting hammered on the tourism end, but it's also across the entire United States. Now, 18 million jobs are in the tourism industry. And when you're starting to lose billions of dollars, what you're going to do is you're going to lose jobs. You're going to lose revenues for small businesses. You're going to lose hotel motel taxes that support some things in local government. So the real deal is here. The world doesn't want to come to the United States, which has always been one of the top tourist destinations in the world. We're going to lose that title this year, and we know who we can owe that to. Congratulations on reducing the income for businesses that rely on tourism.
Canada and the Canadian people, your boycott on tourism in the United States, explained right now. Canada and the Canadian people, let's do some hard numbers. Last year, 2024, you brought in $20 billion in money to the United States with your tourism, okay? And purchasings of stuff around the tourist industry. That's a lot. Whether you're talking about going into different national parks, you're talking about going to Disney World, anything. $20 billion last year, okay? What does that look like in the practicality? That was 140,000 jobs that were created to support you guys coming into the continental United States. What does that look like as far as we had 20 million Canadians coming into the United States? Now, I've been posting about Canada and the outcome of the boycott, and I've had hundreds of people commenting about how they're traveling to other countries to spite the boycott and make sure they didn't spend their money in the United States. Canada, please comment,
The restaurant, it went from 24/7 to 2 shifts to 1 shift to a self-service buffet. Last November, we were 24/7. February, we went down to the 2 shifts. And then a couple months later, we went down to the 1 shift. And then as of today, we're down to the buffet shift. Self-serve buffet. No more service. As of yesterday, the servers were all laid off. Because of our union contract, I do have priority hiring at my hotel. So I'm hopeful to have a job, hopefully by the end of the week because of that. But it's going to be a less paying job, so I'm going to have to see where I can cut some stuff. So it's scary.
What if I told you that a catastrophic loss to tourism for 2025 for the United States alone, just tourism, is expected to be $12.5 billion? What if I told you that was in May and it's even worse? Catastrophic and unprecedented $12.5 billion loss for tourism. You heard me correctly. $12.5 billion loss just in 2025. This is going to be catastrophic for the United States of American tourism. People are not coming for business travel. They are not coming for conventions. They are not coming here for vacation. Since this post in May, the expected loss has climbed to $29 billion in tourism alone in the United States in 2025. Donald J. Trump is catastrophic for the United States of America. Have you canceled your plans to the USA? Drop your comments below.
So the United States, since Donald Trump has taken over, has lost $12.5 billion. That's right, 12.5, a staggering $12.5 billion in lost tourism revenue. The loss is attributed to factors such as Trump-era tariffs, immigration crackdowns, and the new $250 integrity fee. So that's a 22.5% decrease in international visitors just since Donald Trump's taken office. Folks, let me know what you think about this in the comments. The source for this is Forbes magazine and the Economic Times.
So United States tourism is plummeting in the billions. Billions of dollars, that is. And you know how folks often tell international communities how much they need our tourism dollars? A lot of Americans forget that their own cities thrive off of tourism. In 2023 alone, the United States travel and tourism market contributed to $2.36 trillion. And the cities and states that rely heavily on hotel taxes, sales taxes, and other tourism-related fees, less tourism for you means less funding in education, transit, and infrastructure in your city or state.
The White House was recently bragging that border crossings are at an all-time low. Why is that? Oh, that's right, because no one's coming to fucking America anymore. You know, our current government isn't exactly the friendliest to people that don't speak the King's English. It's not just illegal border crossings that are down. International tourism in the United States has fallen like a fucking rock. In March, overseas arrivals dropped by more than 11% compared to the year before. Western Europe saw a 17% decline. The Americas down 24%. Flights that used to be packed are now running real fucking light. The reason behind these declines is pretty fucking simple. The global perception of the United States has changed recently since the election. His threats, along with horror stories of travelers to the States, have led European nations, along with Canada, to issue travel advisories to the United States. These tourists no longer feel safe or welcome by our current government. This isn't just about the loss of tourism. Those tourists bring jobs, and those jobs are going to be lost, along with tips, and the businesses are going to struggle. Some of them are going to close. Cities like Orlando, New York, Las Vegas are already feeling the effects of the lack of travelers. If this trend continues, the U.S. could lose up to $180 billion in GDP by June of 2026. It's not just immigrants that aren't coming anymore. No one wants to come here.
They didn't cancel with protests. They canceled with silence. Across America, from Times Square to Yellowstone, something is missing in 2025. Tourists. Flights are going unbooked. Hotels are slashing prices. Entire towns once built on visitor traffic are struggling to survive. The U.S. faces up to a $100 billion economic hit from declining tourism and international pullback this year. But this story isn't just about money. It's about reputation, perception, and the subtle signal the world is sending by simply not showing up. Before we dive in, hit that like button and subscribe, because this isn't just a travel video. It's a wake-up call for anyone who still believes America's place in the world is guaranteed. Now let's break down what this collapse really means, because it's not just a tourism decline. It's a warning for what's coming next. It's not just about flights or hotel prices. It's about something deeper: trust, safety, and the fear of what might happen the moment you land. For many international travelers, the journey to the U.S. no longer feels like an adventure. It feels like a risk. In March 2025, 2 German teenagers, excited for a 5-week vacation in Hawaii, landed in Honolulu with valid travel authorizations. But within hours, their dream trip turned into a nightmare. U.S. Customs and Border Protection officials questioned them intensely, suspicious that they didn't have every hotel booked in advance. They were taken aside, strip-searched, and placed in a holding cell overnight. The next day, they were deported, despite no criminal record, no charges, and no wrongdoing. This story made headlines around the world, not just because of the shocking treatment, but because it confirmed what many travelers were already whispering. Visiting America is unpredictable. You never know when you'll be the one pulled aside. And this isn't a one-off case. From Australians detained and cavity searched, to Canadians interrogated over political beliefs, to Europeans held without explanation, stories like this are circulating globally, and they're reshaping how the world sees U.S. travel. The result? More and more people quietly saying, maybe not this year. And that growing hesitation? It's starting to hit America where it hurts most: the economy. Across the country, international visitor numbers are falling sharply. According to Goldman Sachs, the U.S. could face a $90 billion economic hit in 2025 due to reduced global travel and quiet boycotts. But this isn't just a line item in a financial report. Tourism has long been a cornerstone of the U.S. economy. Last year, it contributed $2.6 trillion and supported more than 20 million jobs nationwide. When international travelers pull back, the damage extends far beyond airlines and hotels. It trickles down to restaurant tables that go unfilled, tour guides losing steady work, airport taxi drivers waiting longer between fares, and small shop owners forced to cut hours or lay off staff. Major cities like New York, Los Angeles, or Miami may have the resources to soften the blow. But it's the smaller and mid-sized towns, the places that depend heavily on seasonal visitors and cross-border travelers, that feel the deepest cuts. This is the true face of America's tourism collapse, not dramatic headlines or sudden protests, but the slow, painful erosion of local economies. Quiet streets, shuttered storefronts, communities holding their breath, wondering when, or if, the visitors they rely on will return.
So, y'all know them travel advisory reports that the United States loves to push out, basically telling us to not go to certain places because they're violent or it's not safe. Yeah, so the Department of Commerce has now issued a report showing a growing list of countries advising their citizens to not come to the United States, to not come and visit the United States. Yeah, now we are not the safe country. So I'm reading from an article that you can find on Forbes.com, right? So it says that the United States government reported a double-digit overall drop in international arrivals last month, with much bigger losses coming from Canada, Mexico, and lucrative Western Europe markets, suggesting foreign tourists are staying away in significant numbers due to the tariff backlash and even harsher immigration tactics. So I'm just going to read off some of these statistics. So in the Caribbean, they have seen a 26% drop from visitors and tourists. Africa, 10% drop. South America, 11% drop. Central America, 24% drop. Asia is a 1% drop. And now the two largest governments, or the two largest European markets, the United Kingdom is down 15%, and then Germany is down 29%. These governments are telling their citizens to not come over to the United States, not visit the United States, in fear that ICE agents will detain their citizens and not bring them back to their native land, which we see is the case here in this administration. If they come here, God forbid, get detained by ICE, ICE will not allow them to prove that they're visiting, will not allow them to prove their visas. They will most likely send them to a detention center and then ship them over to El Salvador's mega prison, just like they did with that teenage New York Bronx kid that's actually from Venezuela. Instead of deporting him to his native country, they deported him to the mega prison. Yeah, that's what they don't want to happen. Because if that happens, there's no way for people, their actual family and their government to even be made aware of what's going on, because ICE agents will not inform nobody. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt was actually questioned on this yesterday during a press conference, to which she said, I haven't even seen the report. I haven't even seen the report. As the White House Press Secretary, is that not your job? Is that not your job to be aware and to manage the reputation of the government? Instead, she decided to say, while I haven't seen the reports and I would have to read it in order for me to effectively comment, I do believe that the administration that we're in right now is so much safer and so much better than the one that we were in previously 4 years ago. So I don't know why they would be advising their citizens to not come over here. It's because of this administration's policy and their harsh immigration tactics. That's why. These are tourists that often have to come over here on a visa. ICE agents are not allowing people to even prove their legal status. Why the fuck would anybody come over here? Just so you know, the United States makes $2 trillion in tourism. $2 trillion that we're starting to lose now. And that $2 trillion is tied up in the United States GDP, which is part of the reason why the US dollar is the world's reserve currency. That goes down. I think you know where I'm going with this. So now, thanks to this administration and all of its dumb policies, we are facing a possible recession, inflation. The entire world globally is laughing and mocking our democracy and our government. We are now starting to lose profit that we make on tourism. And as a New York City native, I'm not going to lie, we could use a little less tourism here in New York City. But overall, for American economy, that's not a good thing. It's not a good thing at all. Maybe if this administration wasn't too worried with trying to rack up and rally as many free slaves to ship over to that mega prison in El Salvador, we wouldn't have to be dealing with this. Just saying.